that they're not Parton-esque.
Oh, yeah, well, no, that'll be the new official terminology for why you aren't cast in Tomb Raider is, I'm sorry, we're looking for a certain Parton-esque quality in our actress. We loved you in Force Awakens, but I'm sorry you did not land the role. Greetings, fellow rewriters. It's time for the One More Rewrite podcast. I'm Jester, that's Lunchbox.
Hello.
So, it's time for talk about some of the news. We've got a lot of comic book news, because everything that comes in the movies these days is comic related. Seems like we also have a lot of in memoriam these days, because 2016 has been brutal on the movie industry. And, of course, other news that happens to be out there as well. And, of course, your favorites, TGFV, Thank God for Video, where we tell you what you should see, and One More Rewrite, where we tell you what you shouldn't see, or what, if you have already seen it, that those things that make it obvious of why it needed to be rewritten. So, in the news, we're going to open things up with what seems to be the only news, which is Batman vs. Superman. And, well, let's just get down to brass tacks. So, there's so much news flying out of this, and reviews, and commentary, and criticism, as well there should be.
And criticism.
And criticism upon criticism, even the fanboys who've been wanting this criticism.
And especially the fanboys that have been wanting this criticism.
Yeah, because it's just, well, can you blame them? Okay, so Batman vs. Superman opened up last weekend, and it opened fairly big, broke like 137 million or something, which is pretty good considering it's a March release.
Yeah, not bad for a March.
So that's the good news for it.
Especially considering the criticism.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're getting to that. So that's the good news, is that it made a lot of money opening weekend. Now, for the bad news, aside from the fact that Zack Snyder is involved, which was already the bad news a couple years ago when it was announced. The bad news is that, from what we can tell, and what our reports have said, the movie needs $800 million box office total just to break even. Because it's got a roughly $250 million production budget, which doesn't account for advertising, and apparently it's advertising and shooting and whatever else on top of that has bumped up the cost to roughly $800 million, which you'd think that would be okay considering the other news, which is that as of right now, it is sitting at $224 million domestic and $587 worldwide. That would be great. You know, you'd say, hey, this is on track to make back its money, make bank. This is good. Perhaps it's this year's Jurassic World or this year's Star Wars Force Awakens, except for the absolutely devastating fact that it has dropped 81% in viewership. On this. This is on the following Friday. On the second
weekend.
You
81%. I remember
drop off. You do.
I remember when Mission Impossible 2 came out. Its second week, it dropped 77%.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 77%. And that was the biggest drop in box office history at that point. I don't know if there's subsequently been, it's been a few years since Mission Impossible 2, so I don't know if there's been one that had a bigger drop than 81%.
Yeah, and we're talking, there might have been for like smaller movies or other like horror movies, because that happens, but we're talking, this is like a big budget blockbuster thing that's supposed to
even horror movies don't drop off like that.
81% is devastatingly huge. I mean, it is.
That's like nobody went to see it the second week. Like, all of the people who went to see it went, no, this movie's awful, don't go see it.
Yeah, there have been a slew of videos out there everywhere from, like, just the game people and pop culture people that I watch, like the Angry Video Game Nerd over at Cinemassacre, Andre, can't remember your last name, sorry, dude, from Black Nerd, And, you've got the guys over at what's their name? The Nostalgia Critic and his brother. You've got these famous YouTubers and famous online reviewers who are out there saying, like, just, we're all the same base here. We've wanted to see Batman and Superman things since we were kids.
Yeah.
And I think that the guys...
It's like one of those iconic matchups. We always wanted this movie.
Who's better, Batman? No, Superman would kick his butt. He's strong. Yeah, but Batman's smarter. And I'll give credit to the guys at Cinemassacre, because one of them had said, it's like the Batman versus Superman movie we've always been waiting for, but it came, 20 years too late because our childhood has passed, and 2, it's nothing like our childhood ever imagined. It's just way too bleak.
It's just not the Batman and Superman we were looking for.
It's not the Batman versus Superman we were looking for. It's not the matchup. It's not the fight. It's not the anything. And the critics have hated it. The first reaction from the fan was like, oh, yeah, we get to see it. But obviously, even if people were initially saying, oh, maybe it's worth seeing it, it has dropped so steeply, so severely. That can't all be attributed to critics hating something, because there have been movies where the critics say this is horrible, mindless fluff. Hello, Star Wars, the original, look it up, know your history. That they thought it was a waste of celluloid, and it was huge.
And so many movies like that. I mean, even Godzilla didn't drop off like that.
No.
The original one with Matthew Broderick didn't drop off like that. It underperformed, certainly.
It underperformed, yeah.
But it didn't have that kind of drop-off.
No, it did not. We are talking about a movie that it's widely publicized and it needs to make a lot of money. And it's widely, I guess you would say, debated, not just in nerddom, but in, like, comic book fandom and up and down in all the movie sites of, like, how smart was it for Warner Brothers to have put Zack Snyder, like, everything, he's like our modern day equivalent of...
He's the comic book guy.
Yeah, people think
he
that...
He makes comic book movies.
He makes comic book movies, but he doesn't make them well. I think the only one that I've seen of his that I think was kind of tonally right was the Watchmen.
Yeah, Watchmen, yes, Watchmen, but it's...
But Watchmen is a whole different feel, a whole different genre. Nobody wants the Watchmen with Superman.
Right, exactly. But he basically makes the comic book frames and puts them on film.
Yeah, but...
Which works when you're working from a graphic novel.
Yes.
If you don't have something to work from, then he's got to come up with that. Which is why Watchmen worked, was because he already had the source material, and he was just shooting what somebody else already, quote-unquote, shot.
Well, it worked for that, so everything is Watchmen. Everything is Watchmen. Everything is awful when you're part of a team. Anyway.
But it's basically, he didn't have the source material to work with to say, oh, that's the shot I need to do. Like, that's the shot I should make. And that's Watchmen worked because he already had the graphic novel. So somebody else already pre-shot it for him.
Yeah, which
and basically you have the entire previs as a graphic novel, and he just shot it.
Which
makes it way easier.
Yeah, but also
if you don't have the previs, then he's got to come up with it.
Yeah, but it makes it even that much more like he's a hack, because if you need, like, literally everything spelled out for you to the degree that it's like... Okay, I've got the shooting script, I've got the storyboards, all I need is a director's chair and I'm set.
Exactly, and that's what Watchmen was for him.
Yeah.
Was he's got all the storyboards, hey, this will be easy.
Yeah, it's like, so it just makes it even more like he's a paint-by-numbers director, and it worked back then for Watchmen, let's do it again. It's just... Anyway, okay, let's not spend the entirety of this segment ripping on Zack Snyder, even though that would be awesome. But
as much fun as that is.
As much fun as that is. It's the backlash from this. Not only is it likely, we'll have to see how this pans out, as we often like to say.
Yeah.
But it would not be surprising if this, like, totally destroys every possibility of a Justice League movie, of a future Superman movie, of even a Batman movie, which I think it'd be a shame, because I've seen a couple of clips from the film, and Ben Affleck as Batman is not the worst thing, which that almost sounds like damning with faint praise, but people have actually praised Ben Affleck's performance as Batman, that's saying that he does a really good job.
And they keep saying that he's the best thing about the movie.
Yeah, so I would almost see it for Batman, despite all the jokes we make about Batfleck and all that. Sorry, Affleck, your name just ends up becoming like a suffix.
It's easy to make portmanteaus out of Affleck's name, yes.
But that aside, it's a shame because, you know, you need both Batman and Superman flying on point, so to speak, and having both of them be bleak doesn't work. And the fact that there's so many articles out there. I mean, I wanted to have like a great pull quote from some article somewhere to say exactly what's wrong with it. This great quote from Birth Movies Death, from an article there. It's, every generation has had a Superman to look to learn from. I feel terrible for the youngest generation who has this cruel, selfish Superman. I feel bad for the youngest generation who has been handed a jar of Granny's peach tea instead of truth, justice, and the American way. And the other great quote from this is that Supergirl on CBS has been forced to pick up the torch of Superman that Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder have tried to douse. And that's it. They've instead of giving you this inspiring guy, he's like haughty, he's angry, he's bleak, and you get that from the trailers. I haven't seen the second movie.
Got that from Man of Steel.
Got that from Man of Steel, that he's not this, like, I want to be a beacon of hope.
Right.
He's just like, I'm kind of above you people, so you can look up to me and worship me, and that's okay.
Right.
Which is not at all what Superman is supposed to be. And what has been for, like, decades upon decades. So I'm hoping that this hasn't totally killed Batman and Superman forever, but I think that it might have killed this particular franchise. Successfully killed this particular franchise, and hopefully they hand over the reins.
I think they're still going to do the Justice League movie. I think they'll probably still move ahead with that.
Hopefully they'll turn it over
may
to
cause some
else.
problems with a Batman movie.
Which
and
would
I'm
suck.
sure that they will give over the reins to somebody else after Zack Snyder's poor performance.
Yeah, because I think that if they hand the reins over to him again, that before it even comes out, people are going to be like, nope, I'm done. You handed it to this guy twice, and both times he made it bleak and then bleak upon bleak. This is not what we want. So we'll see what happens, but...
Let's see, is Dick Donner available?
Yeah, really. Somebody get Dick Donner on the phone. Is he still around? Yeah, we'll see, but it just doesn't bode well.
Yeah.
Over $800 million just to break even. Jeez. Since we're on the topic of comic book movies, and since this actually kind of relates to Batman vs. Superman, thanks a lot, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad is undergoing reshoots because apparently that fun little trailer you saw that was a la Guardians of the Galaxy with the Queen music playing in the background, apparently there are inside sources saying that it basically gave away all the fun parts of the movie and all the levity. So the movie is actually way darker than that, which I know, I've personally made fun of, like it's so edgy it cuts itself in the, kind of darkness. But apparently they're saying, well, based on how Batman Superman is like getting savaged and how Batman versus Superman is getting thrown under the bus by critics and fans alike for being dark, they're like, we need to make this more fun in spots. So Warner Brothers is doing expensive reshoots to add humor and lightness, I believe is the direct quote, to the overall tone of the movie and to the character interactions because they're so worried. And as well they should be. I mean, okay, Suicide Squad is...
You've never been a fan.
I've never been a fan of the Suicide Squad movie idea. Not idea, I want a Suicide Squad movie. Not in this iteration because it looks dumb. But I get that Suicide Squad needs to be dark. So it's almost ironic in this way. Like, oh no, people want fun and lightness. So instead of putting it in the Batman Superman movie, we're going to put it where it doesn't belong, in the Suicide Squad movie.
Right, well, okay. And I'm of two minds on this. Okay? So, I think the Suicide Squad movie should be really dark.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to need to be dark. I think by the nature of the movie, it's got to be dark. But I think that it also needs those light moments.
Yeah.
And so if you can throw in a few more of those light moments, I think that maybe they might end up actually, like, for the first time in history, a reshoot might make the movie better.
I just don't...
I think that it needs a sense of humor in spots. I think that you need to break up because the whole thing has to be ridiculously bleak. I mean, it's got to be dark, dark, dark.
Yeah.
But also, dark doesn't work unless you have some dark humor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, the blackest kind of humor. But you need to have some of those really, like, laugh out loud moments there, too. You need to have that, oh, because we're bad guys, kind of moments in there. That's what makes that work. Because otherwise, it's just the Joker torturing Harley for an hour. Like, well, that's fun for a certain segment of the population.
Yeah, this is not Hostel. They're trying to do an actual, like, movie with comic book themes. You see, here's my concern, though, is because they so didn't get it with the Superman movie, that they're going to go around, and this is going to have, like, Will Smithing all over the place. That's what I'm seeing. I'm foreseeing, like, a lot of, like, expensive reshoots. There aren't, I'm sorry to say, a lot of actors in this movie that warrant any kind of expense. Sorry, Margot Robbie. It's just facts, Will Smith is going to command a higher salary.
Margot Robbie's been in a whole bunch of stuff.
She is, and she has been, and probably will continue to be, but she's not going to be drawing Will Smith's paycheck anytime soon.
No, because she's a woman.
Whatever. Yeah, right. Some women get paid way too much. I'm talking to you, Miss Erin Brockovich. Thank you, Julia Roberts. Anyway, sorry. This is your, 5 second of I don't like Julia Roberts in the podcast. Anyway, she's like the Tom Hanks of the female acting world to me.
Yeah, the female Tom Hanks. I'll give you that. Okay. I'll give you that.
Okay, anyway.
I don't hate her acting, but, yeah, pretty much the Tom Hanks.
She's pretty much the Tom Hanks of the female acting world. Anyway, but she's not, Margot isn't going to draw the same paycheck as Will. Okay, let's just face facts.
Okay, so Will gets $10 million a movie, and so probably Margot's not pulling that
10 mil?
down.
I'm thinking he had to have been, like...
I'm sure he took a pay cut for this one because he's not the star. But he's usually, if he's the star...
He's like 20, 30 more or more. Yeah.
Yeah. 20 mil.
Okay, so before we go off on too much on that, I think that they're probably going to have more Will Smithisms. I think that... Because it's just...
I think they're going to play up more of Margot Robbie's character, honestly.
I don't. I that would be getting it.
Reshoots are ridiculously expensive in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to throw in more Harley Quinn.
I don't see
That's what the fans want, and that's what they're going to give them.
Yeah, right. I think they see this as like, oh no, we have to make everything light and funny. I don't see them doing that.
I don't think they're going everything light and funny. I think that they're just going to inject some funny moments into it, and I think that the funniest character in there, unless you think that
Will Smith is funny. Oh, he's hilarious. Oh yeah, Crocman. He's going to be dropping joke bombs all over the place. He's going to be. Yeah, he's
the funny character.
He's going to be. Yeah,
No, they're not going to make him the funny character. The funny character is Harley Quinn, and they're going to give Margot Robbie more funny lines, and that'll make the movie better.
Yeah. Okay. I like.
Maybe the Joker throws out some really dark jokes.
You're talking about an ideal world where
Joker,
they get it.
You've got Harley. Those are the funny characters, and they're going to make those characters funnier.
Again, I think you're talking about a dream world where the Warner Brothers execs actually get it and actually understand it. But I think they're going to be looking like just like they did.
And you hated this from the beginning.
Yes, I did.
And I don't think that you understand where they're trying to take this movie. So
I know exactly where they're trying to take.
I think you should reserve judgment and wait until you watch the funniest movie you've seen lately and also the darkest. Because I know how much you love the dark humor.
I like dark humor, but this is just not... I don't have a good sense of it. I base this off of the fact that I think they're trying... Everybody is trying to do that Guardians of the Galaxy type thing anymore when they release a trailer for a comic book film. Give you that. Except for the Civil War films. Thank God that Marvel gets it and is trying to keep their stuff in tone. All of a sudden see them doing Guardians of the Galaxy stuff with a pop tune soundtrack and the characters having...
Spider-Man showing up with Captain America's shield. Yeah.
A Spider Thief. Thank you very much. Read it in the Bugle. Yeah. Anyway, but we'll see how it goes. I know we say that a lot, but personally, I don't see this boding well. Obviously, like
and you just so don't get it.
They are in panic mode because of Batman versus Superman. That much is obvious, and they've
That
actually
much is
that,
obvious
because they've stated
and
that.
because Deadpool did so well, and Batman Superman did not.
Oh, they're denying that this has to do with Deadpool doing well.
Oh, of course. Because they would.
Because they would. Because they don't get it. Because they keep on going out there and not getting it.
Because that's why they're releasing it R-rated. Nobody would ever say that.
We need to add film to this podcast so you can see me massaging my forehead every time I just talk about this thing.
I know. You never liked it from the beginning.
No.
And you're probably going to watch it. It's going to be awesome, and you're going to hate it anyway.
I'm going to go see it at the Draft House so I can have it with a beer. Actually, I don't drink, so I'm going to watch it so I can have it with a pizza and have some good food and be like, the barbecue chicken was spot on. The service was incredible. The Dr. Pepper was cold and refreshing. And yes, the movie was there.
I watched a feature-length film.
And I happened to watch a feature-length film at the time. Yeah. This segment paid for by the Alamo Drafthouse Corporation. Anyway. Yeah. So,
Alamo Drafthouse. Get a beer, watch a movie.
Yeah. And don't talk or text. Thank you. Well, let's wrap up all this talk of comic book superheroes and such by talking about how Hans Zimmer has apparently said he's out. He's out when it comes to making superhero soundtracks. The Batman v Superman was his last, and I'm done with it, and that's it. Which I can't say I blame him, because he's been doing that for probably a while now.
Yeah.
It seems to be the bulk of his work has been doing that, and I imagine that's tiring, but also it has to be tiring when the past two movies you've done, or at least the past big ones, like he did Man of Steel, which people are always and forever going to inevitably compare to John Williams' utterly fantastic soundtrack for the originals. And then you've got this one, which people are kind of blasting as being, oh, it's this way, and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But, so maybe he's tired of living in the shadow of John Williams. But whatever his reason.
And who wouldn't be?
Who wouldn't be? But it might just be a change of pace.
Really the problem is that you've only got so many big, sweeping, superhero-esque scores in you. And I think that Zimmer is kind of like, I don't want to do the big, sweeping scores anymore. Like try and do this big, whoa, dun 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 kind of score anymore. I think, I can understand where either you don't have any more ideas for that kind of genre, or maybe you're just kind of bored with doing ba-da-da, kind of movies, and you kind of want to do something more like Pirates of the Caribbean. Of like, I kind of want something more interesting if I'm going to continue doing this. He's made a lot of scores.
He has, and I like his. I don't think he counts the Pirates of the Caribbean as comic book type things.
No, Pirates of the Caribbean is not, and really he just overproduced that one. But
but it was memorable. It was memorable. It was a memorable score, and not to say that I think that the Man of Steel's flight theme is memorable. The rest of the stuff is just kind of like it's background. It's tonal music. Not that it's atonal, but it's just it's mood music. It's not something you're going to crank up and be like, this makes me feel like a sense of power.
You're not going to like be cranking up on your stereo. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, we are not. Yeah. Not Ride of the Valkyries. I don't think he
composed
it. I was gonna say he didn't. You're thinking of da 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 da.
That's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Those big trumpets.
Had Wagner stuck in my head. Sorry.
Yeah, really. Okay, we're not bombing the beach here. We're flying over the clouds.
That guy can hear the helicopters coming.
Okay, but if he's feeling burned out, that's understandable, because he's been doing these big bombastic scores for like a decade or more now.
Yeah,
more. And you bring
up
up a fair point. It's probably hard to produce something that grandiose every time. Like, okay, And once you've done it for a little
Especially
bit...
since John Williams used up all the good ones.
I was going to say, especially since you've got John Williams out there just cranking out great score after great score and just making memorable tunes. I mean, everything the man touches, I don't want to say is gold, but everything that he does, essentially, is big and grandiose and has, like, a memorable tune. And it's hard to compete with that, even when you're as great as him. But, if he's done with this, if he does smaller stuff, or even if he takes...
He's got a whole bunch of films already lined up that he's doing scores for, so he's not quitting doing scores.
He's not quitting doing scores. He just doesn't want to do
superhero films.
He just doesn't want to do these huge things anymore, and maybe it could be...
fair enough. It's either you kind of go, well, that's all the good scores.
That's all, folks.
You go, John Williams got most of them, I collected the rest. Yeah, okay. John Barry had a few.
James Horner, too, unfortunately.
Oh, and Horner, yeah.
But yeah...
Barry did the James Bond.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Barry did Bond. But it's hard. I'm sure... Maybe not I'm sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if he wants to go after a smaller, softer score and go after the more Academy Award type of scores. Because not to say that the big bombastic ones haven't been nominated and haven't won before.
We had one a few times.
But...
for John Williams.
Yeah, speaking of John Williams. But I think that it's... I think it just might be he wants a tonal shift because, you can only take those trumpets and the horns and the big kettle drums so long.
Right, and I think that's kind of like he's kind of grown weary, so to speak, of the great bombastic scores, and I can understand that.
Yeah, can I compose something with woodwinds and violins now?
And I think that's kind of like, I want to try and do something else.
I want to compose for a nice Holocaust movie. Wait, that sounds wrong. But you know what I mean. It's
just like exactly. Something
gentle.
Like, and maybe he wants to compose the new Whiplash. Whatever. Something like that. Something different, than what he's been doing. And I can certainly appreciate wanting to do something different.
I know. I've got this image in my head of him standing up there before the conductor's podium and people are coming in with their instruments, his shoulders slump. It's like, and there come those bleepity bleep kettle drums and the trumpet section. It's like, what am I doing? He shakes his head slowly.
I should have thrown in a sousaphone just to mess with him.
I'm just like, is it too late to get like a Zephyr or something? so somebody get me a digital kit.
Quick! Somebody call Zamfir. I need the master of the pan flute.
Yeah. So I can Chuck Mangione too. Come on, guys. We gotta change up this score. I can't take it anymore. Yeah. And that's how it goes in my head. Just like sad Hans is sad. In movie news that isn't about comic book stuff, shockingly, the new trailer for Ben-Hur dropped, and I mean, it looks awesome, it looks epic. I don't get why we need a remake of Ben-Hur done in the style of, I don't know, 300 meets Gladiator with...
That's exactly what I thought.
It's like, you got that big dramatic opening with guys who look like they're a Viking ship rowing, "Your death will be..." shouting incomparable hopes. Yeah.
They're not going to make it the 3-hour epic that the original one was.
No, it's going to be a 4.5 hour.
Which means that, like, half of the movie is going to be the damn chariot race.
Pretty much. Well, but you get that sense already with the, big... burly dude standing in a rainstorm screaming incomprehensible words of encouragement to the people and how their lives will only have meaning through glorious battle and Valhalla awaits, blah, 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 blah. My gosh. And as awesome and as epic as that looks, again, I go back to, okay, so why do we need this movie? Really, because it's not that Chuck Heston's version was perfect, but really, Chuck Heston's was perfect. And I don't get why we need this, and especially not this version of it. Okay, so we're in the modern era, and everything needs to be 300 or Gladiator when it comes to epics.
Right, of course, it's going to come down to that.
But holy crap, does it throw you out of the trailer, though. At least it threw me out of the trailer, to have Morgan Freeman show up, sounding like Morgan Freeman, not like whatever character Prospero, or I don't know what he is in this, but, we'll just call him Prospero, because he looks like he's supposed to be the Prospero role. But for crying out loud, he sticks out like a sore thumb so much that I'm just like, I want to see this movie just because I see everything, but at the same hand, I'm just like, man, I don't see how this can do well because you're sitting there in what looks like a jam-packed full of everything else in the world. And by the way, we're gonna slap the Ben-Hur title on it to get the nostalgia people in here.
Well, and obviously it's already been remade a few times.
Yeah.
So,
why do we need this movie?
Well, it's being remade for the modern era, and we can use all of our fancy special effects now. And so
it's pretty much underlined of every movie that's come out in the past decade. Well, we need to remake it for the modern era.
Yeah, remake it for the modern era, and we don't actually need to have anybody trampled to death by horses, as happened on the original Ben-Hur.
Yeah, but stuff happens. Life is short, and they've got guilds now, so
right. I know, more
great filmmaking. It's not great filmmaking.
I miss the days when you could trample a stuntsman to death and
still get away with shooting the rest of your film, and everybody calls it a glorious epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing.
We're past those days.
Anyway.
Now people have lawyers. But
to your point.
But to my point, it's just so not needed, and it's so a kind of movie that's been tried and overdone. I mean, I love Gladiator. Going English now. I love Gladiator. I think it's awesome. I think it was
fun.
Different for the time. It was big.
Right.
It was bombastic. It had great score. It had great acting. It had it had an epic feel. But ever since then, you've gotten your Troys, you've gotten your Alexanders, you've gotten your Kingdom of Heavens, you've gotten all these movies that try so hard to be what they aren't, which is a big grandiose epic.
Right.
And instead of just going out there and doing it, they make it feel like it, if you get what I mean.
Right, like they're trying too hard.
They're trying way too hard.
Right. But I think the Ben-Hur, you almost have to try too hard to do Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben-Hur is this grand, epic film. The tale of the Christ, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That you have to, have this great, epic story. And I haven't seen I was going to say the original, but it's not the original. I haven't seen the Chuck Heston version.
Yeah.
In
many moons.
Many, many moons. A little Indian lingo over there for you.
Yeah.
But I remember it being this grand tale.
Yeah.
And
with slow, quiet moments.
With yes, a lot of slow, quiet moments. And lots of homosexual undertones. Which I wonder if they're going to include in the new one.
Well, if they do, it'll be bombastic and extra oily. It's ridiculous.
See, I don't want to get into your fantasy territory.
Shut up. It's incredible here that they, you've mentioned that. It's quiet moments. I don't see that making an appearance at all. And that was something that really happened in the Gladiator movie. I hate to keep going back to it, but it's the one that I think did it.
And it's the one that's easily comparable to it.
It's the one that's easily comparable to it, and it's the one that did it well, which is why it stuck around for so long as a memorable film and why it won so many awards, including Best Picture. It's because the slow, quiet moments weren't slow, boring.
What's
Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix? Or are you talking about something else?
No, the king, the guy that played the king that died.
Oh, Richard Harrison?
Richard Harris.
With Richard Harris, you've got
the quiet moments between Joaquin and Richard Harris, that's what really made the movie for me.
Yeah.
The big battle scenes, whatever, the tiger looks fake, whatever. But those, quiet moments of them arguing in the tent, that's what I remember from the movie.
And that was some darn fine acting from both of them, as one would expect. But it was quiet, and it wasn't boring. Which I feel like a lot of modern, not
just
modern, but
riveting. It
was riveting.
Wow.
You can have a quiet moment that's riveting that doesn't need to be boring. Which I think that the people who make these epics and try to have the quote unquote quiet moments, they make them boring. They don't make them interesting. They don't make the character interaction interesting or have it have gravity or weight. Because I really like that scene between Joaquin Phoenix and Richard Harris is just incredible because you know what's happening. You know the build up. You know you are devastated, frightened, and horrified at the patricide.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you know in an instant that it's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
You know.
You're oh no.
Yeah, and it
This is going to turn out poorly.
Yeah, and it brings tension without making it like heart-thudding. But anyway, before we're going to totally go off on how fantastic Gladiator was in those quiet moments, but this movie, from the trailer, it just looks like it's going to lack that entirely. It looks like it's going to lack the great character interaction, and I cannot stress enough how weird it seems, because I like Morgan Freeman, but when he pops on screen, it's just so weird. I don't know how else to say it. It's weird because he's not affecting an accent or anything, and I almost feel like I'd prefer him to be poorly affecting.
I think that would throw me out even more.
That would throw me out even more. It's kind of like when Will Smith appeared trying to do the Nigerian accent for Concussion. You're just like you kind of throw your hand up and go,
doing, dude?
You throw your hand up, you go, wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah, you see somebody you know, I don't need, he actually talks that way. It's he's just too recognizable to do, some kind of weird accent. And you know his voice too well.
You know his voice too well.
But, see, that's the problem here, though. Is that you can't say that casting Morgan Freeman in something is stunt casting. Because... because he's a great actor and definitely deserves to be in an epic movie like Ben-Hur. There's no reason not to cast a great actor as in Ben-Hur. It just kind of a little jarring because you go, oh, hey, it's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, really. It's as bad, but it's not totally, as bad as if it was Tom Hanks.
Right.
Oh, hey, it's Tom Hanks. What are you doing here?
But you've got this really great actor that definitely should be in this great epic movie. There's no reason not to have him there. No reason not to cast him. Except that when I'm watching the film, I go, hey, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, it's like running into your buddy at the mall.
But
hey, dude, it's you. How's it going?
Wow. Hey, I didn't expect to see you here. But I think it's unfair to say that casting him there was a wrong choice.
No, it's not.
Because he definitely deserves to be in that movie. Because he deserves to be in an epic movie. Yeah. He's a great actor. Deserves to be there. You kind of were phrasing it like you thought it was stunt casting. To say, oh, hey, look who we got in our movie.
No, I didn't want it to come across that way.
I don't think that's what it is. I think they just kind of got the best guy, and kind of unfortunately, we all recognize Morgan Freeman way too much, and we go, hey, it's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, and that's no, I agree with you totally, and that is what I meant, that it's not stunt casting. It's we want a really good actor who's on point, who has gravitas and can bring weight to a scene, and we cast Morgan Freeman, which part of you says, that's awesome, I like Morgan Freeman, right. I bet he can bring gravitas to the screen. And then you also, when he pops up, because you've sold this totally different tone to the movie, building up to the point that you see him, at least in the trailer.
Yeah.
And you're I've got Vikings on ships rowing things, too.
Yeah.
Oh, and Morgan Freeman as the beaver. You're just wait, what? No, you lost me.
Who's on what? Who's on who and the what now?
Who? What? Who? What now? Yeah.
I think that probably in the actual movie, you will probably for a minute or two go, hey, it's Morgan Freeman. But then you kind of settle into it and you go, oh, he's this character, and you'll kind of go along with it once it's happening.
I hope so, because it's weird. It still just seems weird. It's weird that they're remaking the movie and stuff like that.
Again, it's been remade twice. There's been three different Ben-Hurs.
I know.
It's the Tale of the Christ.
I know. So, well,
I still don't understand why it's the Tale of the Christ. Maybe it's because I haven't watched it since I was a tiny baby.
Yeah.
But I still have no idea why that movie has anything to do with Jesus. But
rewatch it then. Okay, it's here we go. Just to get us refocused again, we've got an actor who's fine, and he's got this role that from the trailer makes it look like a jarring hello.
It really takes you out of it.
Yeah.
But it's not stunt casting. But what is stunt casting is casting Paul McCartney
for a cameo in the new Dead Men Tell New Tales Pirates movie.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so is casting Keith Richards.
Right.
And that was stunt casting. That is fine though, because that's meant to be
That was always destined to happen.
Because they said he looks like Keith Richards, so somebody went out and said,
he actually modeled his character after Keith Richards.
Yeah.
So he was Keith Richards in the movie. It's perfect.
It's awesome.
It's still stunt casting because the whole time you're going,
it's Keith Richards! Yeah. But, you see, and that's a case where I'm fine with it, because he's not a movie star. And neither is Paul McCartney, because he's in there, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Well, he was in Help.
He was in Help. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't make him a movie star.
Hard Day's Night.
And Hard Day's Night.
Those were big blockbusters.
They were, but that's because they were music stars beforehand. Still are.
And didn't he star in Murder, She Wrote?
No. That's not that I know of. Maybe maybe a cameo. But anyway, everybody was in a made-for-TV murder mystery at some point. You know, all the big actors back then. Anyway, so that's stunt casting versus... just for your breakdown, that's stunt casting versus like movie casting.
Versus real casting.
Real casting.
It's when you cast somebody that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah. But just to,
I think he'll do a fine job.
Okay, yeah, probably. It's to wrap up this segment, I want to say, I think it also goes to show that there is still that real lack of actors in Hollywood that are actors.
Yeah.
Because if there were as many actors as there used to be, like big name actors that are acting that you're like, these are powerhouses. These aren't like TV stars who made the leap to movies because we're out of actual
we're running out of movie stars.
Well, so we have to have the story and the effects sell instead of the actors. But if there were more Morgan Freemans in this world, it wouldn't be as jarring to see Morgan Freeman. You'd just be like, wow, this is a cast of awesome people. I gotta go see this. It has like, you know, it has Jimmy Stewart and this person and that person. Let's go see it.
And Vin Diesel.
And Vin Diesel, for some reason. You know, the effects can do everything these days. But yeah. But when it comes to it, and you've got your one big, oh my gosh, there's an actual actor person pops up in the film amongst a cast of, you know, veritable unknowns or people who are up-and-comers. That's part of it to me, too, is it just, again, underscores the fact that we're running out of real actors. That when Morgan Freeman pops up, it shouldn't be as jarring as it is. Yeah. But it is.
It is. Well, and I think that part of that is because the rest of the cast is unknowns.
Yeah.
I think that if you had Russell Crowe as Ben-Hur, and...
If you had Russell Crowe as Ben-Hur, aside from everybody saying, oh, he's doing the 300th, or not 300, the Gladiator thing again. But
you have Gerard Butler as Octavius, or whatever their names were.
Gerard Butler, Russell Crowe, heck, okay, I'll even give you Tom Hanks if you want. Just to be nice, but just this once. And Harrison Ford and big names that you recognize. Gary Oldman. Let's throw Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
He's fantastic and everything.
He'd be the villain. He'd definitely come in as the best villain ever.
Yeah.
But if you had the all-star cast and then Morgan Freeman shows up, you'd go, oh,
sweet! This movie just keeps it's got Russell Crowe, it's got Morgan Freeman, it's got Ian McKellen, it's got Gary Oldman, it's got If he was a cast of characters, then it would be.
Then you would be like, hey, yeah, sure, I'm totally on board. Let's keep going. You know, throw in some more famous people. You know, but as it is, he's the one person that you recognize in the entire freaking trailer, and that, I think, is what's most jarring about it.
Yeah.
Is that you cast a bunch of, not that they're unknowns, but lesser knowns?
Yeah, let's go with lesser knowns to be nice. With lesser knowns. And it ends up being...
And then you have Morgan Freeman.
And then Morgan Freeman. So it's the equivalent of running into your buddy at the mall, because it's just, oh, hey, pal, there you are. It's nice to see you.
Like Peter Dinklage is Spartacus.
I would see that. Okay, so... let's talk about things that aren't trailers and comic books, and, well, I don't know, I guess Daisy Ridley is sort of comic booky because she was the lady who played Rey in Star Wars. No, that's too much of a stretch. Anyway.
No, Star Wars isn't comics.
Okay, that's
I know that they made Star Wars comics.
They made Star Wars comics.
But it's not comics.
No. So Daisy Ridley, who you may or may not realize is the name of the woman who played Rey in the Star Wars Force Awakens, is actively pursuing the role of Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, or Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Lara. Which
It's Lara.
I don't know how to get around this without like cutting to the obvious, but I don't know if she has the drums fingers physique. Equipment physique. And I'm not trying to say that as a mean thing, but...
Neither did Angelina Jolie.
Well,
she was padded.
She was padded. But Angelina Jolie was already a bit voluptuous.
A bit, just not nearly enough. And I think that probably they downplayed that in Force Awakens. I mean, they taped down Carrie Fisher's boobs, because boobs don't bounce in space.
No, they float. But anyway,
I guess I should have taped them up.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Try to keep this PG. Sorry.
I was going to say fishing wire on each. Anyway, yeah, PG. So what we're talking about here is that this lady's actively pursuing that role, and part of me says I don't know if she has the physique for it. I mean, the original Lara Croft was made the way she was as sort of a programming error, like gag or whatever.
You're right.
Because they programmed, like somebody was goofing around with the visuals and actually just like typed in like a huge number, and that's the way that Lara Croft stayed and is forever remembered and loved by fanboys everywhere. For Quiet Nights. For Quiet Nights alone. That she was so known for that physique that, yes, they even patented Angelina Jolie, who's already a bit voluptuous, to look that way. Plus, Angelina Jolie is already a little bit bigger of a woman. I don't mean like that way, you perv. I mean like she's like physically taller. She's taller. So you think of...
And I think of Daisy Ridley as being short.
Yes. And not that you're saying you can't do that, but there are certain times where you want somebody who's got the at least makeup physically of it. Not that I'm saying she couldn't play the part, but...
Not that she doesn't have the chops, because there's not really many chops to use. But
I thought we weren't going to have this over PG. So yes, I would say that I don't know. I just... Not saying she doesn't have the acting finesse. Gosh, everything can be turned weird if you think about it. It's like I'm totally having a Miller moment here. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Will it be made?
But she's actively pursuing it. She wants to have it. She's just waiting for them to give her a call back so that she can do it. Which, fair enough. Okay. She wants to do it.
Yeah.
They seem to be interested, from everything I've read, in having her do it. The question I have is, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
It's like remaking Ben-Hur. It's like, but why?
But why?
We have two
movies.
Perfectly serviceable films.
I don't know if I'd use the word perfect anywhere near the Tomb Raider movie.
They're serviceable.
They're serviceable.
They certainly achieved what they were going for, it seems.
Action movie with woman who's padded with...
You're right, yeah.
So,
with a woman wearing padding. Yes, exactly. That's what they were going for, and that's what they achieved.
Yeah.
And they are enjoyable in their own right.
They're fluff. They're enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, it's fluff, but they're enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that a new version of Tomb Raider is going to be anything more than that.
Yeah.
You're not going to make the new classic. It's not going to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
As much as they try to be.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, even with all of the, interesting little things, I mean, the second one was pure fluff and no meaning to it. But at least in the first one, they had, like some kinds of metaphors about her dad and the clock ticking and all of that. I mean, at least there was a little bit of some kind of story there beyond just, I'm going to go raid tombs.
Because I'm the Tomb Raider. Yeah. Well, when you have somebody who's a mercenary and not like a professor in a history or whatever, it's a little harder to get a little bit more...
Any more depth to it?
Any more depth than I'm going to be the wisecracking person firing guns at the monsters.
Right.
Thing. But anyway.
Which is fun anyway.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. Not saying that she couldn't do it. I just don't think she has the physique for it. And like you said,
we could create the physique.
We can create the physique. We can make her bigger, faster, stronger. We can bionic woman the heck out of her. But do we need to? I mean, really, we just had the last one a few years ago. It
hasn't been long enough.
I don't think we need that.
At least it's been a while since Ben-Hur got remade.
Yeah, Ben-Hur's been a while. We don't need a Tomb Raider reboot this soon.
It's too soon.
Way too soon. in our in memoriam segment. Well, do we need an in memoriam segment? It feels like it.
At this point, we do.
2016 has just been absolutely brutal on the movie and comedy and film and music and every industry. It's just crazy. It's no longer are they like dying in threes. It's more like we make it like 3 days without somebody like big passing. So recently we lost Garry Shandling. Admittedly, I was not a avid follower of his work. I know he had the Garry Shandling show back in the 80s.
It's Garry Shandling.
It's Garry Shandling show.
And then he did the Larry Sanders Show.
The Larry Sanders Show. That was the one I was thinking of.
Comic before that.
And a stand-up comic before that. And
I think during that time still did some stand-up comedy.
And operative for Hydra.
Yes, and an operative for Hydra.
And admittedly, I did not see his infamous bomb movie, What Planet Are You From?, where he comes from from a planet of all men who are in search of women.
Yes, and that movie was perfectly awful.
Yeah.
It's really just a waste of time. It's awful.
I remember it being one of those movies we did like a special sneak preview for at the theater, and it was so empty. Like, I cannot remember a single other sneak preview that we did at the theater, because we did those like a week before it came out. You do like a sneak preview of them. I think there were like 10 people in that showing. Usually those things sell out, but it was crazy.
10 people's about right for that movie.
10 people is about right. I think that there might have been more people in the sneak than there were all weekend when they actually officially opened. So are we supposed to be like fondly remembering him? Okay, he had some.
But unfortunately, like our parents weren't big fans of Garry Shandling. We didn't have HBO when I was a kid, so we didn't get a chance to watch any of his TV shows.
No.
Not that our parents probably would have let us watch them anyway.
Not in the 80s, definitely not. That we were like in grade school and Garry Shandling was riffing on like sex jokes, so that would be a big no.
Yeah, probably not. And basically, What Planet Are You From? Is entirely sex jokes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't really like What Planet Are You From? Unfortunately, I did see. And it wasn't that good, and that's really like my biggest like knowledge of Garry Shandling.
Yeah.
And I've heard many people since his passing talk about how influential he was and about how great the comedy was and how it was like transforming the culture at the time.
Yeah.
It's just before my time.
Yeah.
Before I was able to get into it, and one of those guys that I never really got a chance to go back and
like try to
check out and try
something.
and appreciate after the fact. There are a few that I didn't get to watch growing up. George Carlin and Richard Pryor that I have since gone back and watched, but unfortunately Garry Shandling hasn't been one of them. Although,
but
judging from the outpouring of affection for him, may need to go back and check out some of the things that I may have missed.
That's kind of how I feel, because I joke that I liked him in Iron Man 2 as the kind of jerkish senator trying to steal Tony Stark's stuff, and then you find out later in Civil War that he's actually a member of Hydra, which makes it go from like he's kind of this funny offbeat character to like, dang, he's downright sinister. I think so. I kind of would have liked to see more from that, because as we like to say, comedians make for some of the best dramatic actors, and I would have liked to have seen him more kind of develop that role, just even as a side thing. But yeah, to get back to what you're saying, finding out that he had been kind of influential in the way that modern comedy and has been done, like the way it's shaped. It kind of makes you want to go back and look at some of his stuff, because you're wondering like what little influences did he do, and what kind of things was he pioneering at the time that people weren't doing, that were kind of like out of the box, but now that we take for granted as, oh yeah, comedians do that.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things that they were saying that a few people had said is that when they were watching It's Larry Sanders Show, it's a show about him being a stand-up comic. He's playing the stand-up comic, Larry. He's playing not Larry Sanders. He's playing Garry Shandling on the show, and so it's Garry Shandling show. He's playing Garry Shandling stand-up comic, and he talks to camera, and the people on the show seem to know that they're in a sitcom.
Yeah.
Like, it's a sitcom, but the people in the show know that they're on a sitcom.
Yeah.
So that they'll, show up, like the guy next door shows up because he wants to be on TV.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this whole meta thing that really, very few shows do. I think probably done the best, in all fairness, on the George Burns Gracie Allen show.
Yeah.
Like, that was the most meta show ever made.
Yeah.
And it's so many levels to that show. If you ever get a chance.
Yeah.
Definitely go back and watch that one. But the idea that they're characters in a sitcom and they know that they're in a sitcom was kind of this whole, seemed to be a new idea at the time.
Yeah.
And so there was kind of, almost a revolutionary idea.
Yeah.
From the comics perspective, from the people that I've heard talk about them.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to go back and watch it. Sounds interesting. Sounds like it'd be fun.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, didn't get to see him the first time around.
Yeah, so if you have time, go check out some of his older stuff. Also check out the Writing in Cars with Comedians segment that Seinfeld has out there, because literally, like, he was the last thing that he did was Garry Shandling, and sadly and ironically, the title of it is his particular interview is "Isn't it great that Garry Shandling is still alive?" But it really, I mean, for a guy that you never would have thought is heartwarming, it's a really heartwarming segment. And if you need a particular kind of in memoriam fix, it's a really good one. Actually, it's not meant to be in memoriam, but it's really good. It's a really good show on on kind of his life and kind of the stuff, and you can kind of see little touches of that and see if remembering them in your own way is a thing you'd like to do. So, thanks for the laughs, Mr. Shandling. Also in memoriam, geez, this I want this year to turn around, but we've also have recently lost Patty Duke. Yep. Her and her sister. Okay, sorry, that was a bit of dark humor.
Her identical cousin.
Her identical cousin. Sorry, yes, it was her cousin, but they're cousins, identical cousins. I used to watch the Patty Duke show growing up because Nick at Night had a bunch of the 50s, 60s programs they would replay, and it was an enjoyable bit of comedy sitcom. But she not only is known
family friendly.
And family friendly.
It's so much fun.
Wholesome, funny. You don't get that much more. Everybody has to throw in a dirty joke. But anyway, in addition to that, Patty Duke, besides playing herself and her cousin, had played in The Miracle Worker as Helen Keller. And a fantastic Academy Award winning actress for that. And actually, you had other trivia, which I don't want to say trivia because it sounds like trivial, but I was really surprised because I always remembered her as Patty Duke from the Patty Duke Show.
Right.
And also as Sean Astin's mom.
You're right.
But
because she married John Astin.
She married John Astin. Gomez on
the Addams Family.
But she was like the 23rd president of the 21st president of the Academy, or what? No, it wasn't. It was the Screen Actors Guild. But yeah, I mean, talk about a rich life. I mean, we feel like we're running out of movie stars, and we are. For crying out loud, right. Like losing somebody like Patty Duke, who went on from acting to become like kind of an activist thing. But I would have liked to have seen her in something else because she showed how fantastic she could be.
Right. I mean, won the Academy Award for playing Helen Keller in Miracle Worker, and then won the Academy Award then won an Emmy for playing Anne Sullivan.
Yeah. So she was the 21st president of the Screen Actors Guild. Yeah. Which, I mean, just, it's weird because you find out that not only was she, like, big in her day, but she was still active in Hollywood, even after, like, I guess you'd say her golden era age kind of acting that we don't get anymore.
And she had done, like, she had, like, won, when she was a kid, like, won the Academy Award as Helen Keller in Miracle Worker, and she was working on another show, I forget the name, but she was acting kind of erratic. Yeah. And they thought that she was like on drugs or been drinking or something, and they like found out that she was actually bipolar, and she was actually diagnosed as bipolar, and was able to get that under control, ended up winning the Emmy as playing Anne Sullivan in The Miracle Worker.
Going from Helen Keller to, So that's kind of her wheelhouse.
She won the Academy Award and the Emmy for playing two different characters in Miracle Worker.
Yeah.
Apparently, she just really loved that story.
Yeah.
But
well, I can see why. It may not be her own story, but a young woman overcoming the odds and raising up to something incredible. Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense in that light.
Yeah. Like her story is my story. I'm sure she probably would sell it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, and as I was saying, it just goes back to you're like losing a lot of the good big name actors, and you're just saying like, man, like why don't we have any more Patty Dukes? Why don't we have any more Jimmy Stewarts? Like where is this generation of people that we need who bring weight to the screen both on and off, that have like personal stories and convictions such that make you go like, not only are they a cool actor, but they like are a stand-up person in their own right.
Well, at least we still have Vin Diesel.
At least we still have Vinny. That's the one recourse we have, is we still have Vinny. Thank God for that. Don't die, Vinny. Don't die. Time now for TGFV, Thank God for Video, that part of the program where we recommend various shows you should rent, download, or just go right out there and buy. So to kick us off this week is Lunchbox, who's got...
Clay Pigeons.
Okay.
Which... I don't know how many of the people out there have even heard of this film. When it came out, I hadn't heard about it. Mm-hmm. But it stars Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
In one of his greatest performances. Like, seriously, really, showed me how great of an actor he is. Of course, you've got Janine Garofalo in there. And Joaquin Phoenix as Clay.
Yeah.
Like, really just... great performances, and a movie that you should definitely watch.
Yes. And what's it about?
It's about an hour and a half.
Uh-huh. What's it about?
Okay, it's a black comedy.
Okay, cool.
It's very dark. Very dark. Basically, Clay doesn't have much luck.
Yeah.
His luck ends up getting... worse.
He's like the proverbial sad sack, goes from bad to worse.
Right. It's like every single thing just keeps getting piled on. He's always like trying to cover his butt for like half of the movie, and then the other half of the movie just trying not to get in more trouble, and it's just like keeps piling on. And Joaquin Phoenix's performance is great, as is Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn, probably like my favorite performance of Vince Vaughn's. Like, really just nails it.
Yeah.
Which I almost was hesitating about saying that Vince Vaughn was in it, but he's on the poster.
Yes.
So Jester said that it was okay to mention that he was in the movie because he's on the poster.
He's on the poster, so you're not giving anything away there.
I haven't found any place that you can watch it on streaming, but buy it. I don't want to give you any more information than that.
Yeah, you can't
because
really...
I walked into it cold.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about the movie except having seen the poster, and I walked into the movie totally cold. And if you walk into this movie cold, you will definitely enjoy this. Yeah. If you like black comedies. If you don't like dark comedies, then probably not your cup of tea. But if you like black comedies, this is definitely one of the best.
It is a really funny black comedy, and it's hard, as Lunchbox said, to say anything else about it without giving the game away. But that's basically...
Like, even in Ebert's review, like, Ebert gave, had a review of it, and he gave away the opening 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even want to give that away.
Yeah,
like, it just kind of ruins that moment.
I was going to say, you have to walk into it cold, and I think what you're saying is perfectly serviceable about the Joaquin Phoenix character playing this guy who's down on his luck that goes even worse, and like the whole move, like it goes south for him quickly,
right?
Continually.
And for some reason, like, even though he's not like the best guy, you're still like, why does this keep happening to you?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's part of the charm of the movie, and we don't want to say much more than that because it's worth your time to go out there and buy and check out. You can get it pretty cheap. I've seen that. I work at a video-ish store, and it's like $5 to just go out and pick it up.
Yeah, it's definitely worth buying it.
Yeah.
Just go out, buy it.
And don't go looking stuff up about it because we're not talking a Shyamalama Ding Dong type twist, but it's definitely something where you're just like, you're that much better off for not knowing what you're seeing. The less you know, the better.
Going into it, the better. Like, it really works so well.
Yeah.
Not knowing anything, as most movies do.
Yes.
Like, going in cold to most movies is better. This one, you have to.
Yeah.
Don't even read the back of the box.
Nope.
If you see clay pigeons for sale, buy it, take it home and watch it, and then...
And it's usually what
let me know in the comments how much you hated it.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's definitely... I doubt that's going to happen. I think you'll love it.
Well, mine, I'm not sure if you're going to love, but it's definitely worth rewatching, at least in my opinion, and that would be The Rundown with Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock, and Sean William Scott, and Rosario Dawson. And, of course, Christopher Walken as the Beaver. No, as the bad guy, because Christopher Walken is always the bad guy.
Except in Sarah Plain and
Except for Sarah Plain and Tall. Anyway.
Kept waiting for her to push Sarah off the cliff.
Yeah, it's just like, don't do it, Sarah. He's going to push you. It's just going to be like, and boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so The Rock stars as basically a quote-unquote rundown artist or mob enforcer of sorts.
Right.
He doesn't kill people because that's not what he does. He doesn't like guns. He's one of those action hero types. I don't like guns. But that's okay because you're like roughly the size of a house. So you get a little character intro with him at the beginning that shows that he's like the big buff guy. He takes on like basically half of a football team and takes them down, and just to like recover a ring as collateral for a loan that the guy took. So you get that he's got this other side too, that he wants to be a chef, but he can't do anything because he's in one of those typical like mob whatever relationships where I can't get out because of how much I owe. So he gets roped in for one last assignment, and that's to hunt down the mob boss's son somewhere in, I don't know, the jungles of somewhere, because there's always the jungles. Brazil. Okay, I couldn't remember. But yeah.
Remember? Like, these Brazil nuts? Here we just call them nuts.
Okay, yeah, that's right. There is that gag. Actually, I laugh at that every time because it's true. It's like, who calls them, Brazil nuts in their own home? Anyway, but it's fun. The guy that he's running down is the guy's son, and that's played by Sean William Scott. And he's actually kind of funny in this. I didn't care for him in the little bit of American Pie that I saw. And sometimes Sean William Scott can, I guess, take it a little too far. But it's almost like a buddy movie where they aren't buddies. But it still works. It's funny. It's got Chris Walken being Chris Walken, bringing that sort of like that danger action element, pushing the plot forward, which I won't talk too much about the plot because it's really
irrelevant to the story.
It's really irrelevant to it. It's like the whole movie is the antics between The Rock and Sean William Scott, like trying to get away from him while also trying to treasure hunt. And it's got a little side story about oppressed people in Brazil, which almost sounds bad to say, but who cares?
Yeah. But it's really not relevant to the story.
It's not really relevant.
It's kind of a little side thing.
It's kind of a side thing, really, because the whole show is just basically the back and forth between them, the adventures, and
witty banter.
And witty banter, which actually does get stupid at times, but also is witty at times, too. Kind of like with here we just call them nuts.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why I make it a TGFV, because I almost passed it over in the theater. It's on streaming on Netflix right now, but it's worth the 2 hours because it's just kind of a fun type of go-get-'em movie where you're just like, that was kind of enjoyable.
It was just really fun.
It was just really fun.
Like, it's kind of a little escapist, but kind of you're worth your time to kind of forget about everything that's going on and enjoy a moment.
How else do I say it without bringing up Batman versus Superman? But so many movies in the past couple of years have either been overly the top slapstick stupid, like with whatever it was with not Melissa McCarthy. Who was the two chicks? You had like Reese Witherspoon and somebody else.
Sofia
Vergara in a movie.
Gotta roll that R.
We're in a similar movie last year that just tanked because it had too much dumbness to it.
Right, it was
dumb.
Piece of film.
Yeah. I was going to say it was a piece of something else, but in any case.
No, it wasn't bad. I mean, it had some funny moments. It just wasn't really
as good. It wasn't as good as The Rundown.
Yeah, The Rundown was fun. I really enjoyed it.
And I'm not seeing as many movies like that lately. And because we've been talking about Batman versus Superman so much and so much dourness. You want something that feels genuinely just like, let's go out and have a good time. It's going to be an adventure. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, and it's definitely fun. And I'm a little annoyed that you didn't mention my favorite cameo in the show, which is Ernie Reyes Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Ernie Reyes Jr. and the scene with Ernie Reyes Jr. is just priceless. It's my favorite scene in the movie.
I know, but you almost want that to come as a surprise.
I'm not giving anything away about it. I'm just saying that he's in the movie, and it's fabulous.
Yes,
I love him. He was one of the turtles in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
And in Surf Ninjas.
And he was in Surf Ninjas. Definitely a favorite.
That's a guilty pleasure right there.
For no good reason.
No good
Still
reason.
A favorite.
Yeah.
But Ernie Reyes Jr. in the film, his little cameo is really great.
Yeah.
And so, for that alone.
alone.
Even if you're just going to watch it for that moment, that was great.
Yeah. So go pick them up or rent them or download them where you can.
Or go buy clay pigeons.
Or just go out and buy clay pigeons, for crying out loud. It's not that expensive. You have the money. It's better than spending it on Batman versus Superman at this point. So clay pigeons and the rundown, go check them out. Okay, time now for movies that needed a rewrite. Those sorry sacks of celluloid that need a twist, tweak, or a start from finish overhaul. And this week I have got the most recent entry into the Die Hard franchise, which would be It's a Good Day to Die Hard, the least Die Hardy of the Die Hard movies. And the reason I say that is because it doesn't have any of your typical Die Hardness, except for the infamous Yippee-Ki-Yay line. The action, it's just it's top to bottom, the problem is the action. The action is way too much Jason Bourne shaky cam crap, which is not at all what a Die Hard movie should be.
No.
Die Hard movies are about Bruce Willis tossing off one-liners and about him kind of observing things and knowing that there's something fishy going on here, and then boom, how does this keep happening to me kind of set up.
Why am I always in the middle of this?
Why am I always in the middle of this happening? And instead, what you get is this unfolding 2-hour mess of, there's some sort of secret whatever, which also happens in Die Hard movies, but when you get to the secret whatever that the villain's actually behind...
always. There's something else that he's behind.
You've got the fake out.
Other than his stated purpose. Yeah,
I'm not actually, with the rebellion blah 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 thing, I'm actually just here to rob the bank vault below.
Right.
I'm not just
I'm not a terrorist.
I'm not the terrorist. I'm here to steal the bank money. I'm not about this, I'm about that. That moment that happens in the film is about, I don't know, uranium or something. It's when you get to that point, it's supposed to have more weight, and you just don't care.
You're right.
And, I'm going to go back to talking about how awful the action is, because really that's the heart and soul of these movies. And I can't stress enough how Jason Bourne it felt. From the camera movement, from the plotting of it, from the way the action unfolds, where it's just one moment to the next and such. You don't have that build-up. You don't have those quiet moments. You don't have enough Bruce Willis as John McClane. What you have is what felt like an attempt to give the guy who plays his son, a guy named Jai Courtney, who was most recently in Terminator Genesis as the new Kyle Reese, playing his son, who's the typical disaffected, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore, Dad, even though you're apparently a kick-butt person. So, it's one of those movies that leaves you...
as far as I knew, he and Holly just had a daughter.
Yeah.
Now they just keep introducing new characters, which is just silly.
Yeah.
In the first place, a Die Hard movie is action movie in a confined space.
Yeah.
That's what Die Hard started out as.
Yes.
Die Hard he was in the skyscraper. He's in a confined space with the terrorists. Die Hard 2 even. He's in the airport. Kind of stuck in, there's some action takes place outside of the airport, but it's all within the airport city limits, so to speak. And then they kind of started losing the plot with Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
Because it's
New York is about
as not confined space as New York?
Die Hard New York, it's about as confined as, the globe. But then you follow that up with...
And then they just kind of,
he's confined in America.
Right, yeah. And then it just kind of...
he's no longer confined to anywhere because you can't confine Bruce Willis.
Right. Exactly. And then all of a sudden he's fighting terrorists in Russia. You're like, okay, well, I appreciate, like, I love Bruno and I love the John McClane character, but you kind of went off script a bit.
Yeah, and that's the problem. They forgot who McClane was and what works.
Yeah.
It's a mess from top to bottom, and I can't even recommend to watch it just so you can point out the errors, because it so feels not like a Die Hard movie. It's almost like not a Die Hard movie at all.
Yeah.
It just.
Yeah, I mean,
but to be fair to the other films, they were Die Hard-ish in that when there was action taking place, the action took place in a confined space. Like even in the Die Hard versus America, even in the Live Free or Die Hard, anytime there was an action sequence, it wasn't in a confined area. Like there was that whole section where he's fighting this guy in a turbine room, because why not? Yeah. And it's in a turbine room.
Because, hey, it's fun.
Because, hey, it's fun. That was in a confined space. I keep saying the Jason Bourne thing because anytime there's action, it's out in the open and they're running around chasing after each other. It's not mano-y-mano, which is a bigger hallmark of the... Yeah, I know there was a snowmobile chase in the middle of Die Hard 2, but that... I don't know. If you don't know what I mean by a Jason Bourne movie, then you need to go out and watch Jason Bourne just so you have a frame of reference. If there's
not Jason Bourne. It's not out yet.
Not out yet.
Bourne Identity.
A Bourne Identity film. If you don't know what I mean, then watch one of those, and those chase sequences is because it's like the entire movie was shot like a Paul Greengrass film, which just doesn't work. And anyway, I don't want to talk about it anymore because seriously, this movie aggravates me. Not on a core level some other films have, but it's just so fundamentally flawed. It's like you're watching a bad action movie with Bruce Willis, which does happen, but it doesn't feel like Die Hard. And yours for rewrite?
Well, I'm rewriting Primal Fear.
Yeah.
Which I know that you've seen multiple times.
It's on my shelf. Yeah.
So, the thing about Primal Fear is not that it's a bad movie, which it is.
I was going to say, that's the whole point of this segment.
No, the performances are, journeyman well. It's right at the beginning of Ed Norton's career.
Yeah.
It's right when Ed Norton, this is the movie that kind of made Ed Norton. And his performance, and going back and rewatching it, his performance isn't that good, quite honestly.
I was going to say, it was a side like whisper. Ain't good.
But certainly he's definitely playing the character that was written out in the script and such.
Sorry.
The problem is, for me anyway, is Richard Gere's character.
Yeah.
Who, I know there's many people that would knock Richard Gere, but I think he's actually a pretty good actor.
He can be decent when he wants to be.
I think that there's definitely some chops there, and I think that he can do well. American Gigolo, he's fabulous. Runaway Bride, he was making a movie. Yeah. But he certainly does. He's certainly a decent actor.
He's a decent actor.
I wouldn't say he's the greatest actor of all time, because we all know who that is.
Yes, J.K. Simmons.
Of course. But the problem that I have with the movie is Richard Gere's character.
Yes.
So he says at the beginning of the movie, and a couple of times during the first reel, let's say, that he doesn't care if the person he's representing is guilty or innocent. He's just there for the glory.
Yeah.
He just wants to defend that person and get them off. That is his purpose in being, is get that person off. Doesn't matter if you're guilty or innocent. My entire purpose is getting you off. Mm-hmm. And says that to his staff, says that to the prosecutor, who he used to, is an ex-wife, I think. It's been a little while. But he used to be romantically involved with at any point. He says, it doesn't matter if they're guilty or innocent. I'm going to make sure that they don't get convicted.
Yeah.
That's my whole reason for being. And then in the second reel, he says, no, I have to defend this guy because I think he's actually innocent.
Yeah. It's just like, what? So the whole speech you said at the beginning was basically BS, huh?
Right.
You're impetus for being... Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah,
like,
I get it.
I don't mind somebody having an arc.
Yeah.
You know, and like kind of getting there through the process.
Yeah, but if in the real one you're saying, this is the core character who I am.
This is the core of who I am, is that I don't care. I just want them to not get convicted. And then in the next reel you're saying, but I need to get him off because I think he's innocent. Like, no.
That's not what you just said.
That's not what you just said. That's not who your character is.
Yeah.
Like, leave the, I think that this guy's innocent to, like, one of the female staffers. I know having it be a female is cliched, but they're tropes for a reason.
Yes.
You know? So you have one of the staffers go, but this guy's actually innocent. And he keeps going, I don't care. I just want to make sure that he doesn't get convicted.
Yeah.
Have him be kind of the jerk character, but we're rooting for him because we believe that the guy's innocent.
Yeah.
You know? So we're rooting for the guy who's kind of a jerk, but he always gets people off. But he can't say that he thinks the guy is innocent and that's why he wants to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's not what he said in the first reel.
Yeah, and again, for people who don't know, the first reel of a film, which when we had film, is only 20 minutes. So we're talking about the passage of maybe 20 to 30 minutes tops before your character has a major revelatory change.
Before your character just, like, for no reason, just suddenly decides, well, I think this guy's innocent, and that's why I need to get him
I've undergone
acquitted.
A change.
But there's no revelatory moment there. Anyway.
Yeah, there's no chance for the plot to get unfolded. There's no chance to really learn anything about the characters, the person who's under, convicted or whatever in a trial. There's nothing.
Right, so, there's no reason for that change to take place.
You are barely out of the character introduction phase when you're in that second reel introducing people.
And that's what drove me nuts about it. It still drives me nuts about it.
So remember,
not only that, but if you've ever seen a murder mystery, you can see it coming a mile away. Like, the story is just so obvious in the first place, but I don't fault it for that. I've seen many ones that were obvious from jump, but that change of character right in the second reel is just it's too much.
Yeah. So remember to avoid It's a Good Day to Die Hard and Primal Fear because they suck, and because even when you rewrite stuff, it sometimes just needs a change from everything.
Yeah.
Time now for Strained Metaphors with Lunchbox.
Some people need killing. Now, in Clay Pigeons, I think that he more means it that some people need to kill, but sometimes in your daily life you run into people that are just...
Careful here.
I know. No, you don't want to say that, but you're like,
for legal reasons, we need to end the podcast here.
For legal reasons, but you just kind of like, maybe the world would be better off if you weren't around. Let's put it gently as I can.
Is there a gentle way to prove it?
That's as gentle as I can get it. Like, some people just... And I know that everyone out there has had that moment of, really, maybe without you, this world would be a better place.
We're into the dark humor.
We got a little dark there.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you start off with that kind of a quote, but it is. There is no straining of this metaphor.
I don't think I strained that one hard enough, but that's my strained metaphor for the week.
Well, we do like the dark humor around here sometimes at the One More Rewrite podcast, and sometimes we get a little bit of frivolity there as well. So if you want to tune in next time and join us, we'll have more movies and fun to talk about. Maybe a little less bleak and a little more entertaining than talking about who needs killing in this world. So for Lunchbox,
Good night.
I'm Jester. Toodaloo.